Hi everybody, it is Catherine here from Continue the Magic, and this is your news update for the week of June 29th. So this is going to be coming out on July 1st, and what better to talk about when we get to July than Christmas. So we're kind of at our halfway to Christmas mark. It's Christmas in July, so we're going to go over all the details that Disney has put out about the Christmas offerings this year. So there's a few changes that are coming. A lot of things are staying the same. We're going to dig into it. So let's get started. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. It really helps me out and it makes sure that you never miss a video. So with that, let's jump right into it. So we already have the dates now for the Christmas celebration at Walt Disney World, and that's going to be November 13th through to January 6th. So great news, it's always a very popular holiday season at the parks, and we are going to have our two hard ticket events both returning. So that's Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party as well as Jollywood Nights over at Hollywood Studios. So the Very Merry Christmas Party, that's going to have dates between November 8th and December 22nd. Now this is one you're going to want to pay attention to if you want to go to this event. It sold out last year and it sold out fairly quickly. So if you want to jump on those dates, make sure that you know when you can buy those tickets. So tickets are going to be available July 9th for those people staying on Disney resorts. This also includes the Swan and Dolphin and Shades of Green. And for everybody else, it's going to open up on July 16th. So that is for both hard ticketed events. So some returning favorites, we do have some overlays happening at the parks. So they're going to have a Christmas overlay for Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, for the Mad Tea Party, and for Space Mountain. And of course, even during the day, we are going to have the Jingle Cruise returning. That's a big fan favorite. You're going to get the Once Upon a Christmas parade. You're going to get the Minnie's fireworks show. There's a Mickey Cinderella Castle stage show as well as a Frozen Cinderella Castle stage show. And they're going to be having dance parties throughout the park. Of course, with this one, you also do get the cookie trail as well as hot chocolate. So that is included with your ticket price. So you can enjoy those as you go through. They tend to give those out in prepackaged things, so if you want to collect them throughout the day and then take those home with you, obviously there's only so many cookies you can eat in a night. But that's a nice option, similar to with the Halloween party, that you kind of collect all that candy and take it home. But the cookies are a little bit more, I think, special than generic store-bought candy, so it's nice to see that coming back as well. And of course, always super popular at these events is the character meet and greets. So we're going to have Jack and Sally are going to be returning. We're going to have our classic characters in those holiday outfits. So if you want to get your autograph and your picture taken with them. And then of course, we're going to have Anna and Elsa here as well. So over at Jollywood Nights, again, you do get some extra music. You were going to have the variety stage show that was really popular last year. And this included Mickey and Minnie, Tiana was in it. We had Kermit and Miss Piggy. So a whole star-studded cast for that show. Very popular at Jollywood Nights. They also have some of those dance parties and those character meet and greets. So the max price for tickets has stayed the same this year as last year, so it's $229 is the max price. However, that base ticket price, those cheapest nights, have gone up by $20. So last year the cheapest ticket was $169, now it is $189. So we're really closing in that gap of that kind of range that it goes through depending on what nights you choose. Now again, these do sell out really quickly, especially you're going to see a run on the early November dates, which will be your cheapest tickets, as well as the people who want to get those early views and those early previews. And then of course your tickets right around Christmas become super popular as a Christmas celebration. So if you are looking for either of those ranges, make sure that you get on your ticket purchases fairly quickly. Now, one thing I have to say about the Christmas parties, I mean, obviously there's still more details to come out. This is still the early tease, but it is a lot of the same thing year over year. And I understand that the tickets sell out and that they're making their money, but at some point it is the same party as it was last year, and I don't know that it still holds its value. I would really love to see more changes to the parade, different stage shows, more unique character meet and greets. I feel like we're kind of on a rinse and repeat here for these Disney hard-ticketed events, and I would love to see them really up their game and do something new. Now, I know people are going to buy the tickets anyways. I know it's a favorite of a lot of people, but those tickets are pricey, and I think to get those people back every year, you should be providing them with something unique and a new experience each time. So just my opinion, but I hope to see more announcements of things that they're going to be doing for the event coming out later. But with those ticket sales coming up soon, you got to make your choice pretty quickly on whether or not you're going to attend. So if you attended last year, I don't know that there's going to be anything particularly special that's going to drive you back for this year. Now let's pop over to how the hotels are celebrating. So the big news this time around is that the Grand Floridian is not doing their giant gingerbread house this year. So they didn't do it last year, and that was assumed it was because of construction at the Grand Floridian at the time, which totally made sense, but they have announced that it is not coming back this year. So it's not that they're doing nothing. The people who used to work on that will do smaller displays throughout the Grand Floridian, but you're not going to have that one big iconic kind of gingerbread house that we've come to know and love. So it's yet to be seen whether they'll do something similar at a different hotel instead. It seemed to bring a lot of congestion to the Grand Floridian. I know that they got a lot of complaints that, you know, people who spend a lot of money to stay at that hotel were trying to get through the lobby, and it's super crowded and busy for people who are not staying at the hotel. So I think that is probably the main reason to move this. The other interesting thing that they could do with this is if they are trying to move DVC at different locations, it would maybe make sense to set up a bigger display over there, get people over to that property, and give them the opportunity to try and upsell those DVC spots. So a possibility there that they might consider. Now, along with this, when they put out the announcements about what's happening at the Disney resorts for the holidays, they did add some extra wording, specifically saying that this is for people staying at the Disney resorts and with valid dining reservations. So we think that this is kind of the next step already that they're adding to the changes to the bus system from Disney Springs. So they're starting to lock down those buses to only people who are staying on Disney property resorts or people with dining reservations, and it looks like they might be hinting that they're going to do a similar thing for the resort hopping for the holidays. So that's a very interesting one. I wonder how many kind of Florida locals that they get to come and visit those hotels and what kind of retail impact that has. People popping in to see the different displays. Yes, they are coming to the property and staying for free, or parking at Disney Springs and getting over there, or potentially paying for parking at a resort and hopping over to the hotels. So interesting to see how they might lock this all down more and to see what larger impact that has. Because my guess is that it drives quite a bit of revenue to have people go to the hotels, see the merchandise, buy, you know, food, buy drinks, buy merch. So interesting to see how they'll do this. It would also, you know, locking down the Disney Springs bus area is one thing. Trying to lock this down resort wide, if you start scanning people every time they walk on a piece of transportation, that is going to dramatically slow down your load times. So they're gonna have to find a better way around this if they want to start locking this down. So we'll see that nothing's actually been stated yet. This is still just kind of a hint based on the wording that they're using, but be forewarned that this might be coming. So Disney kind of hinted at all of these announcements with some stocking reveals that they did. So they had a different stocking come out throughout the day, so you could kind of get a hint of who was going to be attending these parties. There were no big surprises here. So of course we had Mickey and Minnie. Obviously that makes sense. We have the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. We've got Minnie's fireworks. They're a staple there. So Mickey and Minnie totally makes sense. We also saw Kermit here. Again, that ties into the Jollywood Nights variety show, so no big surprise there. And the last one was Figment. So Figment is kind of the spokesman for the International Festival of the Holidays that happens over at Epcot. So again, nothing groundbreaking here. Now, what I would love to see is for them to have these hints mean more than just these people are at the events that they are always at. For Figment, I would love to see an overlay, a Christmas overlay over the Figment attraction. Honestly, they could use some attendance over in that area. So a holiday overlay on that attraction actually would make a lot of sense. Throw some, Santa hats on Figment, a few decorations up in Figment's house. I think it could be impactful to the guests, how many guests go and see that attraction without being a huge lift on their end. It would also be very cool to see something with the Muppets now that they've taken over the Rock and Roller Coaster. If they could expand and decorate that area as well and have, even if it's just the outside or maybe some of the queue, there's a possibility that that would be a cool addition. So with all of those updates about the holidays, we also have some additional discounts that they announced as well. So there's a few different ones depending on what you qualify for. So for Florida residents, you're going to get up to 25% off your hotel rates. If you are a Disney annual pass holder, you can get up to 30% off. And then they have up to 20% off for the general public. Now the big one here is for the Disney Plus subscribers. So this one, you get up to 25% off your hotel, obviously for your deluxe resorts. But the other addition that the Disney Plus members get is that they also get a free park hopper added if they do a 4-day, 4-night stay. So that park hopper addition is a nice savings. So if you are a Disney Plus member and you are planning on going during the holidays, make sure you check the dates. They do kind of exclude about a week from each month that doesn't qualify for this. So you're going to make sure that you check those dates in advance to make sure that you can get that deal. And the last bit of non-Christmas news, I just wanted to quickly announce that the Disneyland Pirates of the Caribbean attraction has reopened. Most of the changes here are pretty subtle. They did some painting on the outside. They've improved some of the aesthetics on the inside. But the main one here is they have added a new animatronic. So this one seems to be kind of controversial how people feel about it. So this used to be it was just a stagnant skeleton on the pile of gold, and they've changed this to an animatronic now. And it's not just a fluid moving animatronic, but it is that mix of that projection face on an animatronic. So we've seen this before in the first Frozen Ever After. And it's interesting because they just specifically removed that because it was not particularly well received by the audience. And they've upgraded all of those to full animatronics like we saw in Hong Kong Disneyland. So interesting to see that they've gone back to the projection mapping for this update to Pirates of the Caribbean. So I've seen the videos of it. I have, again, mixed opinions on it. I love that there's a little bit more movement in this area, but I'm not a huge fan of the projection faces. So I get the premise that it kind of ties into the movies that when you grab that piece of gold, that is when you get cursed and you kind of convert into that skeleton. So you see him with his piece of gold, with his human face, and then convert and freeze in that skeleton form. So I get the storytelling value there, but those flat projection faces, when it is the human face, just doesn't quite translate for me. It doesn't have the magic that a full animatronic has. Obviously, with an actual animatronic, having its face convert completely to a skeleton would be very tough. So I understand why they went this way, but I don't know that it was necessarily the big addition that they were hoping for. We'll see how it goes over. I haven't seen it in person, so maybe I'll get a chance to go down there and check it out. But in the meantime, the Pirates of the Caribbean is open, and that is great news, especially since Haunted Mansion is going to be closing in the not too distant future for its Nightmare Before Christmas overlay. So you can't have those two iconic attractions down at the same time, so at least Pirates is back up and ready to enjoy. So that is your news update for this week. Welcome to Christmas in July. Thanks for joining me. Again, make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button, and I will see you next time.